tell you what direction the school's going in, because they're following, there's lead fish, and then there's just the foamer or stuff that's following it. If you could follow those birds, pull up in front of the birds, turn your boat off, and these fish do not like noise. So the better you can make a silence program, the better off you are. They come right to the boat. When they come to the boat, if you see the foamer and it's coming your way, the best thing is to start throwing where you don't see the foamer, because there's fish everywhere. Those fish will bite. The other day it was really funny with that one jig. I'd be whining, I go, oh, I'm on. And oh, I'm on. And then what they do is they come up and they smack it, but they don't get it. If you really want to put one away, stop whining, put your rod tip down. The jig sinks out. It looks like a bait that's been injured. When you lift your rod to start whining again, you go, oh, and you're hung, it's gone. You hook them in the upper top of the mouth, or you hook them all the way down in the engine room. Either way, it works really good. So that's another way to look at it. But it's like learning how to read your conditions and read the fish is super, super important. I can go further into that if you guys want to too. Some of the stuff that we've been using, a lot of jig sticks, okay? Some of the good ones is a 540. This one's been doing very well for us. Why are we using jig sticks? What's your friend on a boat? Anybody tell me that? The rail, right? Get on the rail with the long jig stick. What this does is it forms two purposes. Keeps the fish further away from the boat, especially if you're on a small boat, but even on a bigger boat. Secondly is fulcrums and levers, okay? People look at this is a lever. If you stick it right here on a rail, the fish has to fight all this, okay? You have to just control this. So what ends up happening is you want as much power. This is just like a spring. Once it's loaded, it's got plenty of power in it. You want the fish to pull as hard as he can on this thing, okay? What ends up happening with the bluefins, they'll gas, but they fight way harder than a yellowfin fights, okay? No matter what, if you hook them in the engine room, they're coming right to you. When I say engine room, that's in the guts. I find with the poppers, the big poppers, if they're really eating, I can throw a big popper, they'll eat a big popper all the way down. They got two big treble hooks inside of them. They're not gonna last more than 15 minutes. You hook them in the side of the mouth, get ready. You're gonna be there for a couple hours, an hour, depending on the size of the fish, okay? But what happens with this is, a lot of the guys right now, they run right up into the fish. You don't wanna do that. Spooks the fish. Get up in front of the fish, turn the boat off, make a long cast, right? Surface iron, whatever. Try things until you see what works. The key is to know how to cast a surface iron, because if you miss one cast sometimes, you don't get another chance for another hour. So that's one thing. And the one thing that I've done in the past, how I started with this stuff when I was young, like in the 70s, I'd go to a park or a football field and learn how to cast jigs without hooks and take my surface iron and make 100 casts a week. Then when you get on a boat and it's ready to happen and things are going down, you grab a hold of that surface iron rod, you can put that iron where it needs to go. A lot of times with these smaller groups of fish, you have to cast right on top of them. If you don't, you're not gonna get a bite, okay? And people are like, and then wind in, the fish go down, you're screwed, okay? So to me, if I'm gonna go through and do anything, practicing casting the surface iron is a real key deal. You'll see that I got 8-foot rods, I got 9-foot rods. If you watch, all the rods I have are not super stiff, they're super parabolic, okay? What I don't want though is the rods to be so parabolic that they bottom out. You guys know what bottom out is, right? That means when it's so bent, you have no lifting power on the fish. So what I do is when this thing's loaded on the rail and I'm sitting there winding on the fish, that rod tip moves up that much, I get a crank. It moves up that much, I get a crank. Gives me a little bit more. All I try to do is keep the rod exactly in the same position. By keeping it in the same position, I know the fish has constant pressure on him. And the thing with fish, if you have consistent pressure on these things, they will move towards you. If you do, I see all these guys go, watch this short pump. Fish's head goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. If they're a big fish and once you let his head go down, there will be no coming back up for a while. So to me, if it's slow and consistent pressure and you can keep it on a rod, especially on a rail, you'll land the bigger fish. And I've seen a lot of like 100, 150 pound fish, guys land them just with constant, consistent pressure. So as for line on some of these, this is 600 narrow. This is a 2-speed. And the 2 speeds are totally worth the money.